musical teachers, and welcome to today's video where we are going to be talking through my favorite movement activities for the younger music grade levels, grades K through 2. If you're new around here, my name's Rainey Barton. I teach elementary music and middle school musical theater in Central Florida. This is my 8th year teaching, and I made this channel to help other music teachers create a love and appreciation of music in the hearts of all of their students. And we do this through lesson ideas, tips, tricks, strategies, all the fun things. So please make sure you like and subscribe in order to get weekly videos on Monday, and it really does help my channel grow. Like I said earlier, today we are going to be talking all about my favorite movement activities. I believe movement is very important in a music classroom. I mean, music and movement is like known to be good for your students, but I also have discovered that I really need to do some sort of movement activity basically almost as soon as my students enter the room, because you don't know where they're coming from, but they need to get all of those sillies out and they need to do it in some way. Otherwise, they're going to act out and they're just not going to be paying any lick of attention to you in your classroom. And so I always recommend starting with music and movement. And so some of these are just movement My camera decided to unfocus at that moment. Some of these are just movement activities. Some have a song with them. Some are just a folk dance. So like I tried to mix it up, and I have a lot more for K1 than I do for 2, but I do have some for 2nd grade. It's just always easy to find stuff for the littles, you know? And if you're like, well, I need some older movement activities, don't you worry. Next month, I'm going to do a video where we do grades 3 through 5. So that is coming, I promise. But for now, we're going to focus on grades K through 2. So with that, let's not waste any more time and let's dive into the activities. Before I get started talking about all these, I'm just going to say at the bat that I'm going to link to all of the links, all of the things that I can on where you can get these activities, where these lessons are, if I have a lesson pack for them, and all underneath this video. And I'm just going to say that now so that I don't have to keep saying that after every activity, although I have a feeling I'm going to because I just know myself, but I'm still going to say it here. Everything will be underneath this video, so just look for a link if you need it. And if it's not there, message me and I'll try and find it for you. Okay, so I lumped kindergarten and 1st grade together because honestly, you could do these with either grade level, so they're not grade level specific for K through 1. The 2nd grade ones are because they're a little more complicated. So the first one that I love to do every single year is called 7 Jumps, and I believe it is in the Rhythmically Moving book CD series, which if you do not have that, you need to get it. The book is pricey. It's like $150 or something like that, but it has hundreds, if not even thousands, maybe hundreds of folk dances and activities you can do with your littles. And I'm pretty sure that one is in there. And the CDs, I'm pretty sure you can get digitally now, which is good because I don't have a CD player in my classroom. But 7 Jumps is literally as easy as it sounds. Each, like, basically what you do is you have your students in a circle, and so for 16 counts, they're just holding hands, walking clockwise in a circle, and then they're gonna clap 3 times and spin, and clap 3 times and spin, and then you do 7 body part actions. And they're like, there's this violin part that like, sometimes it's like 2 seconds long, and sometimes it's like 10 seconds long, and so they have to listen to the violin, and then they'll hear like a bump. So you'll hear like, ba-dum, or ba-dum. It changes each time. But basically, the first time they do it, they lift one leg, put it back down. The second time they do the activity, they lift the second leg. Like they lift one leg and then 2 leg. And then it's 1 leg, 2 leg, and putting a knee on the floor. And then 1 leg, 2 leg, putting both knees on the floor. And then 1 leg, 2 leg, both knees, and an elbow on the floor, and then the other elbow, and then your forehead, so you make a little ball by the end of it. And in between each of these, it's interspersed with the clockwise for 16, the clap 3 times and spin, the clap 3 times and spin. I will link a video down below of kids doing it, or the song, or whatever I can find, but it is such a fun time and it is always a hit in my classroom. Another one that is always a fun and simple, easy one, I like to do a bunch of like warm-up songs with my students for movement when they get here. And so one of the first ones that we do from when they walk in the door, like I use this on my first day of lesson plans, and that is Walk and Stop. And I usually play it on my ukulele. And so the song basically goes, well, you walk and you walk and you walk and you stop. And then they have to stop when you hear walk, stop. When you walk and you walk and you walk and you stop. And then it's just that over and over again. And you can do the song however you want. And then you can change it. And you skip and you skip and you jump and you jump and you fly and you fly and you crawl and you crawl. And you can do all different sorts of movement activities and drag this one on for as long as you possibly want to. And my kids really love this one. And so I use it for different locomotor movements all throughout my classroom, and they have a really great time with that. The next one is a very popular one, and I use this when I am teaching loud and quiet comparatives in my kindergarten classroom, but I bring it back in first grade because it has a quarter rest in the song. And so when I'm introducing quarter rest, I bring it back in first. And that is Grizzly Bear, which I do have a lesson pack for this in my shop. I will link to it underneath here. It's in a quarter rest bundle that I have. And the song, if you've never heard it, goes like this. Grizzly bear, oh grizzly bear is sleeping in a cave. Grizzly bear, oh grizzly bear is sleeping in a cave. Please be very quiet, very, very quiet. If you wake him, if you shake him, he'll get very mad. Roar! And so you start with the song super quiet, and then it gets louder at the end to show the difference between loud and quiet. And I do have a giant bear folk manus puppet that I got, and if I can find it, I will link it to you for you underneath this video because this puppet is fantastic. And I have the bear introduce the song to them, and then how the game works is it's kind of like a Duck Duck Goose type style where the kids sit in a circle, and I have one kid be the bear and they fall asleep in the middle of the circle, and then I have one be the hunter. And we make a gap in the circle. We make one specific hole in the circle that's basically like the opening to the caves. Let all the students just use the same opening. I've learned that over the years. You need that. And so the hunter just walks around the bear in the circle throughout the whole entire song. The bear is not allowed to wake up until the word roar. On the word roar, the bear can wake up and get up. The hunter runs out of the circle, like through the cave entrance, and the bear follows behind, and it's a game of Duck Duck Goose, or chase basically, where the hunter is being chased by the bear all the way back to inside the cave. So they use that entrance to get out, and they use that entrance to get back in. And if the bear tags them, then they've been eaten by the bear. And if the bear doesn't, then the hunter is safe. And the kids love this. I typically will only play this to where they either get to be the bear or the hunter, and then next class we will try to switch because they all remember what they were and what they weren't, let me tell you. And they get very sad that they don't get to be both characters in the same day. And I'm just like, well, we don't have time for that, boys and girls. We just simply do not have time for that. But this one is always a super fun one to do with your students. And as I mentioned, you can review it later on for quarter rest. Then an easy activity that you can always do with K and 1 at any time of the year, and there are so many different ways you can use this, are scarf activities. Scarves are a kindergarten and first grade students' best friend. They love using these scarves for all different types of things. I'll just give you a couple examples. I use them for fast and slow with the song Erska-Kolo, which is from Rhythmically Moving, because it has slow sections where they move around the room shaking their scarves super fast. And it has super slow sections where they move shaking their scarf super slow. Paige's Train is another good one for fast and slow. The Nutcracker has like scarf routines for like tray pack. I have one for What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong. There are so many different scarf activities that you can even type in scarf activities on YouTube, and you will find many. But a good scarf activity goes a long way, and there are many ways that you can use it to be expressive in your music room. Another fun one that I used and I learned from, I believe, the book like Mallets, Ribbons, and Scarves by Artie Almeida, because Artie Almeida is like the most fantastic person ever. Fun fact, she lives in Orlando, like 2 hours away from me, and I've had lunch with her because she presented at this conference, like this little mini conference that I went to, and she invited us to lunch after, and I felt like a rock star. And she's commented on my Facebook post before. I know, I'm a star in the music world. I'm not really. But Wild Horseman. I believe it's by Schumann, and how she teaches it is she had these two little stuffed animal horses that she lets the kids name, and one of them gets to ride around on all of the A sections, and one of them only gets to ride around on the B section because there's 3 A sections and 1 B section. And so the kids get a turn to do that. And then I have little like finger puppet horses that the kids get to take turns with and do all of that with. But where the movement aspect comes in is after that they get to experience it by riding pool noodle horses, which I made a couple summers ago, and I wish I had one with me to show you. If I can find a picture, I will find one. But they are just simply what it sounds like, a pool noodle that was turned into a horse. And so I use those and I give them to my kids, and I have half of them be on one side and they are the A horse, half of them on the other side and they are the B horse, and on the A section they get to move all around the room. And then they have to get back to their stable by the time I say, because then it's the B section's turn, and then it's back to A. And then once they've all done that, they get a turn, all of them, to ride on the A sections. And during the B section, they have to be like stroking their horse and petting it and feeding it and giving it treats and giving it a bath and like all of that fun stuff. And so this is like teaching them form in a very simple way without them realizing that's what they're doing yet. And they have so much fun with this lesson. It is just always a hit every single year. And like I said, it is in the Mallets parachute, ribbon, scarf book, something to that effect. I will link to that book underneath here so you can check it out further for yourself. But if you haven't used this one yet, you got to. All right, the next one for K1 I got from Eileen Miracle, and I believe I mentioned this in a prior video, but I could not pass it up here because it is a movement activity, and it is called Bunnies. I will try to link to the specific product that she has put this in, I'm pretty sure, or video, wherever I got this from her. But basically, you're telling a story about bunnies, and it's like, once upon a time, the bunnies love to hop around, and you play some little ditty on the piano, and your students are hopping all around the room like bunnies. And then when you say that they wiggled their noses, you play something up high, and they wiggle their noses. And then when you say that they wiggled their tails, you play something low, and they wiggle their tails. So they're differentiating between high and low, because eventually once they're used to this game, you could just play high and low notes, and they have to figure out whether it's wiggling their tails or wiggling their noses. And then like they eat carrots, and you play different stuff on the piano for that, and then they start to go to sleep, and you go from the top all the way down to the bottom. And so it's just a melodic exploration activity while they get to move, and they're just simply acting out whatever you are saying, and they have a great time with this. So it's always a hit, it's a super easy one, and I love it. I have 3 more activities for you under movement for K1. The next one is Highway Number 1. I believe it's by the Shenanigans, or there's a copy of it by the Shenanigans on YouTube. I'll link to that video down below. But it basically tells you what to do. So like the song's like, I traveled to Australia on Highway Number 1, and something, something, something on Highway Number 1. And when I got to somewhere, I stopped and said hello or something, and then it'll say something like walk, walk, run, 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 or skip, hop, and leap, or jump, dive, clap, clap, clap. And so you just do whatever it says. So they stop driving their little car. So when I traveled around Australia, they can drive their car, they can fly a plane, they can be in a boat, whatever method of transportation they want to go to, they can do, and then they have to stop when it stops, and then they have to do whatever the actions are. And so this one is a super fun movement one. They get to move all around. I typically will incorporate this into a transportation lesson that I do with my students, and it is a blast. Then we have A-Rig-A-Jig-Jig, which I play this on my ukulele, and this is always a welcome song in my classroom. And the song goes like this. As I was walking down the street, down the street, down the street, a friend you know I chanced to meet. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. A-rig-a-jig-jig and away we go, away we go, away we go. Rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Hi-ho, hi-ho, hi-ho. So the first part is slower. The second part is faster. So as they're walking down the street, I allow them to be silently waving to everybody as they're walking all around the room. And then when they hear the fast part, they're allowed to like jog throughout the room, and they get so very excited. And then sometimes, because I'm extra, I change it to like as I was skipping down the street, as I was hopping down the street, as I was not jogging down the street, as I was crawling down the street, whatever it is you want to do. And then that way they're getting to do different locomotor actions with this as well. And they have so much fun with this one. It is always a classic hit in my classroom. And then last one, I do not remember where I learned this from, but it is always a hit. And I typically do save this one for first grade because it is kind of a line dance. It's like their first time they're experiencing an alley where, you know, half of them are on one side, half of them are on the other, and there's the alley in the middle. And it's called Willowbee. And I introduce it as this Willowbee creature that I draw on the whiteboard, and he's this big monster with like big, long, noodly arms, and he moves his arms as he walks down the street like this. This way we Willowbee, Willowbee, Willowbee. This way we Willowbee all day long. And so for that, they're in alleys, and they have a partner that they're across from as they do this. And then the pair at the top will, for this next part, they hold hands and they sashay down the alley. And they go dancing down the alley, 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 dancing down the alley all day long. And they just dance to the end of the alley, and then they're at the back. And then they scoot forward, and the next pair is going to be the ones that sashay down the alley. And we talk about how to sashay. I teach it to my students. It's just basically one leg is always catching up to the other. And this is a very simple introduction to folk dancing for them that I've always experienced. It's actually a really great method for them. And they have a lot of fun with it. And that is a fun folk dance to do with K through 1. So those are all my movement ideas. I mean, I have many, but those are the ones I chose for this section. So now let's move to the 5 activities I have for 2nd grade. The 5 lessons that I have for 2nd grade, I'm going to go through a little bit quicker because this video is starting to get a little long. So the first one is Sorida, which is a folk song from Ghana. I actually have a 2-pack lesson for this and Obuisana in my shop, so I'll link to that underneath here, or I'll just link to Sorida and then you can find the bundle from there. But Sorida is a greeting song that basically says hello. And so it goes like this. It has hand motions. It is a partner activity. So I'm just going to show the hand motions by myself. And it goes like this. Sorida, Sorida, Rida, Rida, Sorida, Sorida, Rida, Rida, da da da, da da da, Rida, Rida, da da da, da da da, Rida, Rida. And so it's not actually that hard. I will say my second graders, they didn't really struggle with it that much. It was only a couple of groups that did. And so we really did break this down. I only taught half of it one class and half of it another class. But it's a fun greeting song that you can use. And it's very simple because it only says Sorida and Rida basically over and over and over. But that is a fun one. And I have slides where I teach about like where the song is from, Ghana, and we learn about like the culture of Ghana. They get to see a video of this in action, and then we teach this song. And so it's not as much movement as it is a hand partner activity, but they are kind of moving, and I allow them to switch partners. So I decided to include it here just because. Then we have Bingo Bongolo, and I definitely talked about this in my Soul Me video, but I have to bring it back into this video as well because my students are obsessed with this because it's a jumping competition, and who doesn't love a good old-fashioned jumping competition? And I do have a lesson pack for this, so I'll link it under here. And how the song goes is, bingo, bongolo, up and down and high and low, let's jump into the Dan Bay. And so the last note is not Soul and Me, but everything else is. And so I picked 3 students, they get in a line, and basically on let's jump into the Dan Bay, they have to standing jump as far as they can, long jump to land. And they have to land on 2 feet. They can't land one and then the other. I count them landing on both feet. If they fall over or they take a step after to like fix themselves, it doesn't count. And so whoever jumped the furthest and landed it successfully gets to stay. They compete in the next round, and then we find our winner. And then I allow all the girls to compete at once, all the boys to compete at once, and everybody to compete at once one more time just for fun. My kids ask for this game all the time. It's really simple. I use it when I'm reviewing or introducing Soul Me, and it's just good to pull out on a day when you need an activity that you know that is tried and true and loved, and this is always one of them for me. So this is a different angle because I have to finish filming this on my phone because my memory card is full, and it is full to the point that my hard drive is not working, and so I have nowhere to put these videos until I edit them. So you're getting a video on my phone, and we're just going to survive with it. Okay, the next one is getting its own specialized individual video, like literally next week. So I'm not going to elaborate too far on it this week because it's getting its own video literally next week. But it's Captain's Coming, and it's basically my version of a game I created that's like Ships and Sailors, which is like this popular like kids camp, after school like type game, where it'll have like motions like captain's coming, sharks eating, 3 men rowing, things like that. And they have to like get into the specific number of groups of kids. And if they have too many, by the time I count down from 5, then they are eliminated. But in between all of this, whenever I say captain's coming, they have to salute, stay where they are. When I say at ease, they put their hands down, and then they read a couple of rhythms that will come up on the board. And then after that, it'll say something like shark attack. And that's a 2% activity where one person is a shark and one person is swimming away from them. And if they can't find a partner and they don't get into it quick enough, then they are eliminated. And so this one is a super fun one I used to incorporate rhythm and also like a game that everybody knows and loves, because most of my kids have played this at some point or another in some summer camp setting, and so they have a really great time with it. And so I love this one. Like I said, I will still link to the product under here in case you want to check it out, but I will have a very elaborate video on it literally next Monday, so just wait on that if you want. And we have parachute activities, because who doesn't love a good parachute activity? I'm just saying, parachutes go far in between. And I always use them for form because typically 2nd grade is when I will officially introduce the concept of form to my students. And I do it through like a sandwich. So I talk about how like the A section would be the bread, and like the next section would be like bologna or lettuce or whatever you want to put into it. And that's always been a really simple way for my students to remember it. And so one of my favorite parachute activities to do with them is to do it to the Star Wars theme song. And so there's videos of this on Pinterest and YouTube, and I will make sure to link underneath here so you can see the specific parachute activity that I use. But that's a great one for form. There's a couple around Nutcracker season in Artie Almeida's Mallet's parachute book, because it's a parachute book. There's a bunch. You could even type parachute activities once again on YouTube and find more, but the Star Wars one is always a hit. And when they get to use a parachute and move around the room and shake it crazily, that's always a hit. And then the last one I actually learned about in Game Plan, but I'm pretty sure they got it from the New England Dance Masters, which that is another fantastic wealth of resource for like folk dances and stuff. If you don't have the New England Dance Masters like books and CDs and stuff, please get yourself this. I will link to all of my favorite resources, the 3 that I mentioned, Rhythmically Moving, the Parachute one, and this underneath this video. But New England Dance Masters does a bunch of folk songs. And they have one for the Noble Duke of York that is basically a line dance. And I will link to a video underneath here. I'm not going to try and explain the whole thing to you. But there's like, they have partners that clap together. They peel the banana. They make a bridge. They go under it. But if you don't know the song, it's literally, oh, the Noble Duke of York. He had 10,000 men. He marched them up to the top of the hill and he marched them down again. Oh, and when they were up, they were up. And when they were down, they were down. And when they were only halfway up, they were neither up nor down. Oh, a-hunting we will go. A-hunting we will go. We'll catch a fox and put him in a box, and then we'll let him go. Oh, a-hunting we will go. A-hunting we will go. We'll catch a fox and put him in a box, and then we'll let him go. That is the song. It's mighty long, but there is a whole folk dance to this, and it's really fun. And my kids have a fun time with it, and it teaches them different parts of like stuff like peel the banana and making the bridge and cast under and like cast away and all of that sort of stuff. So that is definitely a fun one. I use this more towards the end of 2nd grade with my students. It's a little too complicated for them at the beginning of the year, but nonetheless, we have a fun time with this. And those are all of my movement activities and ideas for K through 2nd grade. I know I shared a lot. Like I said, every link imaginable will be under this video. And if it's not, message me on here or on Instagram or an email. All my information is underneath this video. And I will gladly figure it out for you if I can. I hope you had fun with this. I said next month we will have a video on my favorite movement activities for grades 3 through 5. So be ready for that. I know that can be a little bit harder for people compared to K through 2. But I hope this tides you over until then. And then stay tuned for next week where I literally teach you step by step how to play Captain's Coming, because it is a favorite that you need to know how to do with your students, I promise. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!